Um, so I guess, yeah, in both of my roles at Sigma, I've been lucky in that I've been able to have a good overview of what happens across the spread from, when we first get in the raw materials and test them to finally releasing the product, QA release, and then dispatching and, sending it out of the warehouse, putting it on a truck, and it leaving Sigma. Which is quite good because the bigger the company you work for, I guess the more compartmentalize your role. So, a lot of people would be doing a really specific job, like, I don't know, testing, cleaning validations, or testing out the water systems and being directly involved in that, very specific. Whereas I'm lucky that I get a good overview and I understand kind of like the importance of all the different steps that are involved that go into a product. So it's, I don't know, I think it's quite a good, I've been pretty lucky to land in this role. So it gives me a good understanding of the whole industry. Another aspect of being contract account coordinator is negotiating deals. So sometimes you got like price adjustments, recosting, even formulation changes. Actually, an example of a recent formulation change was with one of my tablet products. The disintegration results weren't looking all that good. So what we had to do was look into changing the formula a bit to make the disintegration better. So all that was needed was to add a surfactant in a really, really small amount, and then that kind of improved disintegration. Now, even though I wasn't directly involved in this kind of process, it was really good having the background knowledge through learning at pharmacy college about what disintegration is, what is a surfactant, like what does this all mean, kind of thing. Because a lot of the time you will come across these reports in your job. You might not necessarily be directly involved, but if you've got a good understanding of what's going on, you are then able to relay information more freely. You're able to kind of function more within your industry and be able to contribute. You know what I mean? Like, there might be points where you can kind of say, hey, I think we should look into this more because I remember this just doesn't gel with what I learnt at uni. So just bear that in mind because there are always applications out there for things that you learn. And I guess one more big thing about the contracts department is contractual agreements. So pretty much for each company that we make stuff for, we need to have an agreement in place that specifies who's responsible for what. Because I guess when things go wrong, you want to be able to blame someone. Well, someone has to have responsibility. So that's kind of where you need to kind of be a bit careful because I guess in the pharmaceutical industry, lots of money's involved. Like certain customers are like, I don't know, multi-million-dollar deals. So it's kind of something that also makes things a lot more interesting. Okay, it's been 13 minutes. I've got 2 minutes to quickly get the rest of this done. Another big question that I've asked myself is, what keeps me motivated when I'm at work? And I guess I've already said, it's very dynamic, challenging, multitasking. I never know what's happening from day to day. And there's like all different issues that kind of pop up that need to be investigated and, we need to get resolution for. So one of the most recent ones is codeine rescheduling. So at the moment, I don't know, people out there are kind of abusing codeine. So they're having it recreationally instead of using it for what it's meant to be used for, pain relief. So we've had to, the TGA's enforced a rescheduling of all codeine containing products. Which means that I've had to kind of troubleshoot through all the ones that I look after in my portfolio. So reducing pack size and just kind of presenting to the customer exactly what their options are. So, this is where it kind of gets exciting because that the negotiations that you're having within work, you'll kind of see the end result out in the market. So, for example, at the moment, there's a lot of 48 packs of cough, cold and flu tablets containing codeine. But that won't be the case next year after the scheduling's been put in place. They'll go down to either 40s or 36s depending on how things pan out. So, I guess it's good being able to see results. So if you're in the industry and, which makes products, then some of the work that you do, you'll be able to see out in the market and exactly what your work has kind of led to. Because this is a speech for uni students, I thought I'd probably should tell you exactly what skills I've applied from uni. Generally speaking, I think it's a pretty good skill to be able to work under pressure. Now, at pharmacy college, I don't know if the exams are the same as what they used to be. Some of them were pretty damn hard. So, yeah, that's kind of a skill that I picked up definitely through uni that you kind of really need to use when you're out in the workforce, because at times things can get a little bit hectic, out of control, but you need to remain level-headed and just do your best and work through it. Another skill is being able to translate technical information. So a lot of the time you might have specialty reports that you need to kind of read through, and if you already have an understanding for like chromatography and various test methods, whatever, then it makes life a lot easier. Because in the pharmaceutical industry, pretty much every drug product, the active gets tested usually by HPLC or UV, and related substances are tested the same way. So yeah, if you've got an understanding for the way those systems work, then you'll be able to contribute more in your workforce. Yeah, specifically, I remember doing a prac on ascorbic acid. I think it was in second or third year, and it was to do with stability and degradation products. So again, like, this is a big thing in pharmaceutical industry. You need to have stability on every single product you make to show that it meets the end of shelf life. So yeah, like, that was just another example of something where if I hadn't have learned it at uni, I wouldn't really have had an appreciation of exactly what is involved or what it actually means. Another big thing we focused on at uni was GMP, so good manufacturing practice. Now again, like, the pharmaceutical industry, it's governed by that. Like, we have to adhere to GMP or else we could get in trouble. Like, whenever we have audits, it's all about GMP. Yeah, so I guess documentation, SOPs, specs, batch documents, validation documents, we cover that at uni. I pretty much look at all that stuff on a daily basis. So it's important to kind of take in what you're doing, keep your study notes, because you never know when you'll be able to use them or refer to them. And I guess, the more you have an understanding and appreciation of things you're dealing with, the more interesting things become. So, at work, if you've got an in-depth knowledge of something, then you kind of then want to build on that and keep building on that kind of thing and finding out more. So it's good getting the good base understanding at uni. So yes, pay attention and keep interested. One other product-specific example I can think of actually is we're having a problem with one of our raw materials, maize starch. So it's pretty much just like wheat starch, maize starch, similar stuff. It's low moisture grade. We're having a problem with moisture. So moisture was getting into this product and it was failing the specification limits for this particular raw material. So being maize starch of a low moisture grade, that means that it's very dry. So therefore the hygroscopicity, so its affinity to attract water is quite high. Which means that, part of the resolution for this problem was changing the packaging to make it less permeable to moisture. So if we can keep the moisture out, then we won't get moisture problems inside the actual product. So that's another thing at uni. Like, if I hadn't have learned about different vapor pressures and all that, I wouldn't have had a true understanding about what this issue was. So again, another example of how it kind of pays off having that good background knowledge.